We are now recording.
Good. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Hello, everybody, and thank you for coming. Welcome. So my name is Marla, and today I'm going to talk about some ways that you can adapt some pronunciation teaching activities that you like to do in the classroom. How you can adapt them for our situation now when many of us are still teaching online. How many of you are teaching online or remotely or virtually or okay, everybody, I imagine, in one way or another. So it's different, isn't it? And sometimes it's hard to find ways to adapt what we used to do to what we do now. So I'm going to share my screen. I made my slides in Google Slides, so I've put a link in the chat to the folder that has the slides and also some other materials. So if you're interested, go to that link and you can see all of this stuff.
It's now in the chat.
Thank you so much, Marsha. Okay, adapting pronunciation activities for remote classrooms. And so here's the plan for what we're going to do today. First, I want to talk about some general principles for teaching online or teaching pronunciation online. Then I'd like to talk about how we can adapt info gaps, information gaps, matching activities, and sorting activities using Google Slides and Jamboard. I'm going to show you some ways to use board games for pronunciation or for speaking practice using Jamboard or using Google Slides. And also, I'll talk just a little bit about some ways for recording that students can record their pronunciation practice, and you can record or send back your feedback. And then we'll leave some time at the end for questions. So some general principles for going remote. First, focus on your purpose, not your cool tools. There are so many cool things that we can use on the internet, flashy, sparkly things. But if your main focus is on what you want your students to learn, and then think, well, which of these tools can I use? It'll be a lot better. Not, oh, I found a cool tool, I'm just going to try it just because I want to try it, but focus on the purpose. Keep it as simple as you can. I know it can't always be totally simple because, these are computers, but try to keep it as simple as you can. Try not to use too many different tools, especially within one class meeting, because something will go wrong. Make the best use of the tools you know. So if you know Google Slides and you're really good with that, milk it. Try to get all the good stuff out of it that you can. Try to not just think, okay, I have this one activity I can use using whatever tool, but what else can I do with it? I can do pronunciation. Can I also do vocabulary and grammar and get everything out of it that you can. Don't try to introduce too many tools at once because your students could get overwhelmed, possibly because they are not sure how to use the tools. Maybe they knew which buttons to push for this thing, but now you're trying a new thing and they're not sure anymore. And also for your own sanity, if you're trying to introduce too many things at once, it's really hard. So keep it simple and make sure students can see everything. Not everybody has a big screen. Some of the screens are small. Some of them are little phones. So make sure that your letters are reasonably big and that if you're holding something, like if I want to hold something to show it to you, I'm holding it here, not down here where I can see it and you can't. So think about the visibility to the students. And sometimes the old way still works. We're going to use all kinds of fancy tools, but sometimes you can still use a whiteboard. Like Marsha had one before we got started. I've got my little whiteboard. If somebody suddenly has a problem with two sounds and I want to put up a minimal pair, I can just do that. As long as you write nice and big. And then make sure if you're holding up something, make sure the students can see it. If they can't see you, that's okay. They don't have to see you. They have to see what you're showing. So you can still do some of the same things, like which one am I saying, 1 or 2? Think, sync, you know, the same way you would do it in a classroom. You can still also use tools like my favorite one of all, the giant teeth. I love the giant teeth. So I can still use this in a remote class to show the tongue position for different sounds. I can still do and or whatever you want to do. Or you can use Marsha's technique of using your hands to show tongue position instead of the giant teeth. Okay, so if the old way still works, keep the old way. What are your tools? Your basic tools in an in-person class are yourself. When you're teaching pronunciation, you have your voice, you have your body, you have your hands, you can show intonation by moving your hands up and down. You can do all kinds of things with movements. You can move around the classroom to make sure people are on task and see what they're doing. No, you're looking at Facebook or something. You have a whiteboard or a blackboard or some way of displaying words and writing. You have probably a projector and whatever kind of content, either pictures or activities projected, handouts and books, real stuff, well, like, you know, my giant tongue. But what do you have when you're in a virtual class? You have some of the same things. You have yourself still. You have your face, you have your hands, and your voice. You can't move around the classroom and check what people are doing so well. But make sure that people can still see your face, you know, if you're showing how to pronounce a sound, or when you're using your hands to demonstrate something. In a way, this is an advantage in teaching online because everybody can see you more or less up close. If you're in a big classroom, the people at the back, you look about this big to them. But now all of you can see me in the same way, roughly, depending on the size of your screen. Okay, so what else do we have? Now we have video conference tools like Zoom, which we're using today, Google Meet, Skype, etc. There are other tools. So we have to learn how to make the best use of that. And you probably, not necessarily, but probably are also using a learning management system, an LMS, something like Canvas or Blackboard or Moodle or Google Classroom, which are all similar, but not exactly the same in all the details. How many of you are using some sort of an LMS? Many of you, I bet. Yeah, okay. All right. And other websites or software, things like that. And we'll talk about a couple of those, but not everything there is, because there is a lot. What are your favorite kinds of pronunciation activities in the classroom? Minimal pairs. People are writing minimal pairs are their favorites. Quizzes, okay. Have a lot of you used things like information gaps? Those are good if you make sure you put the sounds that you want to practice or the features that you want to practice into an information gap. You can use that for good pronunciation practice. And I am going to, and I'm sure you are thinking many good things too. So here are a couple of free tools, Google Slides and Google Jamboard. Google Slides is very much like PowerPoint, except that it's very easy, except that the slides are stored online instead of on your own computer. And the slides can be shared. So you can have 2, 3, 5, 100 people working on the same slide at the same time. And Google Jamboard is kind of similar, It's an interactive whiteboard tool. And I know there are other kinds of interactive whiteboards, but this is one of them. So multiple users can share and edit documents. And if you download this PowerPoint and click the links, you can go to their homepage. Okay, so let's look at some examples. Here's an information gap that I might do on paper. Now I'm closing the chat, so I won't see what other people put things in chats. So if I were doing an information gap on paper, this one is called Who Lives on River Drive? What sounds do you think we're practicing with that? And look at the names. Yes, you're right. It has lots of L's and R's, and it also has lots of B and V sounds. So I've put those names, those sounds in the names. And if I were doing this on paper, I'd go to the copy machine, make some copies, and have people fold it in half and only look at one side or the other. And then with a partner, ask each other questions to find out who lives in the other houses and write their names in. Can't do it quite the same way online. So this is a way to do it using Google Slides. I've made a set of 3 slides for the game, this set. The first one has instructions. So I'm going to put people into breakout rooms with 2 people or maybe more people, and they can play in teams. At each breakout room, it's best if they have their own copy of this set of slides. So what I've done, see, I'm going to another folder on my computer. For today, I put 10 copies of those 3 slides and called them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all of that. And also I have a document with the links in case I want to do it that way. So I'm going to divide people into breakout rooms and ask people, when you go into the breakout room, notice the number of your breakout room, because it usually says you've been invited to go to breakout room 3, right? Something like that. Then when you get into your breakout room, each person can open those slides. The person or people who are going to be partner A, they click on the partner A slide, and then they go to the next slide. There, it's just very slow. They'll go to the partner A slide. The people who are partner B will go to the partner B slide. And then they do the same thing in the breakout room. They ask each other questions. Who's living at number 3? Okay, yeah. Did you say Levine or Ravine? Yeah, so they have to pronounce it fairly clearly. And they put it in, and then the last slide has the correct answers. So would you like to try this one in breakout rooms?
Yes.
Yes, good. Okay, I thought I heard you saying good, or saying.
I said yes.
Thank you, that's what you said. Okay, all right. Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing. Now I'm putting a link in the chat, which should take you, when you get into your breakout room, it should take you to the list of all of the links. So notice what breakout room you're in and click on the appropriate link and try to play this game. So the game itself is very, very simple. Let's see how it works in real life. And I'll call you back in about 5 minutes. And now I've also broadcast the message to all. So you should be able to get it either way. Let me know if it doesn't work. If it doesn't work, come back and complain to me, and I will apologize.
Marla, people
Yes.
do not have the link. Generally speaking, you need to send links out before people go into breakout rooms, because there's no way they can receive it unless you go now.
They didn't get it when I broadcast message to all.
No, broadcasting a message is just it's not a
okay.
link.
Okay, I'm gonna
linkable.
I'll close the rooms and we'll try again, or
Yeah,
maybe we won't try
let's
again.
do that. Let's try that again.
Okay.
We're coming back into the main room because we need the link before we go there. So we just had a breakup. not a breakout. So we broke up with our last friends, and we're going to get the link now from Marla, and then we're going to go break out again, and hopefully do the interaction. So Marla, why don't you go ahead and post into the chat
Okay.
the link that you would like us to do.
All right. So here it comes. Okay, and I'm labeling it link for breakout rooms because there's another link that's for the whole
Right.
folder with everything.
Okay, right. So
Okay.
link for breakout rooms. Everyone should
Do you
be
see
able
it?
to see that once we have gone to our breakouts. Okay, now you can mix us all up again.
Forgive me, please.
You are forgiven. You are
Thank
hereby
you.
forgiven. It opened right now. But it's in edit mode. In edit mode, the links do not work. You know that, right? I mean, when you put in a link in edit mode, it doesn't work until you do present. But then you also said don't open in present, or you won't be able to change the slide.
You won't
So
be able to move things.
there might be two things that you're trying to do that are not possible to do based on edit mode and present mode. Okay, so if you're edit mode, so also when we try to go to the link, it says the slide was already deleted.
So my plan for the future, forget the clicking on the link and going to the next slide. Change the instructions. Just say, go to slide number 2, go to slide that says partner A, and that should do it. That should do it. Okay.
Marla, I have a suggestion.
Yes, thank you.
Because, we all had to go into Zoom so quickly, and Angela, who's on here too, and I are colleagues. Cool. What we did is we teamed up and we practiced everything together. And that really helped because we had it live. The real problem with all this is, working live, because you can create it. And then the problem is working live. And so we teamed up and we straightened tons of stuff out by doing that. So just a small suggestion.
Okay.
It's all hard. And I give you, you've got a lot of courage and you're doing it. And that's what's important.
Yeah, that's good. And you have all these friendly teachers here who are sharing experience. I'd like to also share an experience when making breakout groups. I see that you did 10 different groups, and then within each group you put the A and B. Okay, let me explain to you just another way that you could try it, which I did when I had breakouts with A, B, C, and D, which is like, you're doubling your trouble, but that's me. I did that. So I created the A Google Doc, the B Google Doc, the C Google Doc, and the D Google Doc. So then in that case, what I did was I put everything, and then I said, okay, you guys go to your rooms. There'll be 4 people in a room. You decide who's A, B, C, and D, and you just go to the link that belongs to your learner. And then they would everybody who's A would all be looking at that one. And supposedly not looking at B, C, and D, right?
We hope, yeah.
Yeah. Well, so in this case, you have all the stuff in the same one. Right.
The same.
So, I mean, that's right. So that's another way. It's another way to divide the pieces.
Google's the same slide deck. Okay.
But it was very complicated. I mean, all of these things are very complicated to build. They're very complicated to build because you have to conceptualize how will this be? How will it be in a remote situation? What happens if they
click? What are all of the things that could go wrong?
Yeah, so,
okay.
I
learned a lot already.
Marla, I recently did a huge workshop on making Zoom active for your classes. And one of the things we did is when the instructions were given, at the very beginning, he had us take a picture of those instructions. So we had them on our phone. And it was very, very helpful because I then put the phone in front of me and I always had the instructions because I can't remember anything. In these days, it's even worse with Zoom.
It's hard.
Thanks, Marla. Thanks for everything you're doing.
Well, that's great if your students have 2 devices.
Yeah.
Teachers, we tend to do that. be able to do that. So that's a good idea, but sometimes our students don't have, they're using the phone.
And Marla,
okay.
And what did you want us to do when we got the answer? Like, who lives
when
in
you got to,
5?
then
this person. Were we supposed to type? Were we supposed to ask how to spell that? Because if it's a spelling, then it's losing the focus on pronunciation. I don't know. So it was a little bit confusing.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted you to type them in, and if you didn't know how to spell a name, then you can ask. But if it's an easy name and you know how to spell it, then you wouldn't have to do that. Okay, I wonder if I can go on to the next thing on my.
Yes, please do.
Yeah, and hope it works better. Okay, sorting activities. These, I think, are something that on paper might look something like this. I have a bunch of words. I have boxes for different sounds, and I sort the words into the boxes that have the same sound. And right now I'm not doing this in present mode because you can't move things in present mode. This one would be simpler because there's no A and B part. Just anybody that wants to say hat, which sound is that? Okay, I'll move it over and it's near mat. Okay, seam. All right, that's the only problem is click here and you have to click on the edge of the thing, which is annoying, but okay, so we can do a sorting activity that way. And
can I make a suggestion?
The correct answers. Yes, please.
Yeah, you can, if you just get on any document on your computer, you can type those words and then do a little screen capture of each one to make a little GIF or a little PNG.
To use it as a picture rather than that would make it easier to drag them, wouldn't it? Okay.
Then they mostly stay where they should, although sometimes you end up stretching it, but they definitely become better when you make little PNGs.
Cool. I'm learning so much. Yeah.
But it's great.
Yeah. Okay.
How about sorting them by color, for example? And then all you have to do is just change the color on the actual word without having to
move it. I see. So
like on the bottom you have like the E sound is yellow and the I sound is blue and the A is green and whatever. So all you have
could do that.
Click on clean and make it yellow so that
okay.
Without moving it, would that work? I haven't.
Let's see if your highlight color.
I don't know how you do that.
Well, that means that you have to expect your learners to know how to use the toolbar. That sounds like it's more. I mean, they're just thinking of most students. That might be more work than drag and drop.
Yeah.
It's colorful, though.
But it is another possibility. Yeah.
Can I offer a suggestion too?
Sure. Yes.
I mean, you can use the annotation feature, and I can
on Zoom.
I can show you how
on Zoom.
Like, let's see, what are we matching here? The word goes to the box with the same vowel sound, so maybe you could put let's see, clean. So I just click that, and then I go to seam.
Okay.
And then you have a particular symbol or a particular color. And then let's see, I'll just try one more. What do we like? Do we like hearts? Yeah. See, everyone's doing
picture.
Right, good. Draw a picture with an arrow.
Okay, cool. Yeah, there are a lot of ways that you can do heart and heart, match the hearts.
That's good.
Yeah.
I like that, Seth.
Okay. You want to see another one? Okay, here's one. Oh, okay. So now there, the annotation stayed even when the slide changed. Okay, so this is another one matching the words with the syllable patterns. It works the same way. Just drag the word believe. Okay, that goes with this pattern and so forth. And we could do the same thing with that you suggested, colors or lines or whatever. Another thing I like to do in live classes is using objects to show syllable patterns. Like I have big blobs. This is a stressed syllable. I have little ones. This is an unstressed syllable. And we can in a live classroom, I hand out bunches of them and students put them together on their desks to form a syllable pattern for a word. And I took a picture of a few of them. So for example, this top row, what word could that be?
La, banana.
Blah, 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 banana, yeah. And
Potato.
the next one, potato, yeah, lots of them. Ba, 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 ba. Ba, 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 ba. Refrigerator. Ba, 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 ba. Okay, dictionary. All right. So you can't use the actual objects on Zoom, but I made images to represent the different syllables. And then over here, I've put the word, okay, receive. We need an unstressed syllable and then a stressed syllable. And since these are shapes, they do drag better than the text boxes did. There's the correct answer. Or you can add secondary stress blobs if you want to. Photographic. What should I do with photographic? What should I put first?
That one, the third one.
That one, the third one. Now what do I need?
And then a gray one.
A gray one. Now what?
And a cylindrical cylinder.
Yeah, graphic. Yeah. And what on the last one? Another of those. Okay, so you can manipulate these and the students can watch, or the students can manipulate them. You can do lots of very cool things. Another thing I like to do in a real classroom is to use intonation blocks. And these are shapes cut out of thick foam, and I put magnets on the back so I can stick them on the whiteboard if your whiteboard is magnetic. And we can use them to, write a sentence on the board, put these above it. This is rising intonation.
Oh.
And I've lost giant teeth and tongue. We could still use that. Where do we get the giant teeth? Amazon.com. I'll tell you later. Okay. Why the whiteboard on? Okay, that I don't know. Okay, Nicole bought the giant teeth on Amazon. Okay, yeah, they have several different kinds. The falling intonation, the kind of level intonation for the middle of the word or the sentence when it's not doing much, where it's going down just a bit, wrong way. It's going down just a bit, like at the end of a first clause. I want to do everything perfectly, but I can't. Okay, so these we can do in a classroom, but if you're doing it online, we can make shapes to represent all the different bits and then put them together. Like my brother likes to play tennis. Okay, it's the big important thing is down at the end. And we have the tonic syllable, the main focus there. Tennis, maybe a little bit of a bump here. So we can put them together to have students model the intonation of sentences. Okay. And so far, now you guys have had good suggestions for some of the other things. Does anybody have any suggestions so far for anything else?
What about using like the Lumix type of thing that you could, it's a little.
Lumix?
Yeah.
Is
what is that, Maya?
It's a
like like my lamp here. Yes, that kind of thing. And you have a lamp like that too.
That you have on your table, and everybody will see it, and then you can play that, by hand rather than digitally.
I like in the classroom. I like to use pipe cleaners. And in the classroom, I bring in a bunch of pipe cleaners and give everybody a pipe cleaner, and they make flowers out of them and all kinds of good things. And then they can also imitate the pad, like if this is not a pipe cleaner, but they can bend it in different ways. You could use lots of things like the thing that you've got on your lamp?
No, but this is this is a camera.
Oh, it's a camera.
Camera. So you
nice.
You put something underneath here, and then you project it, and then they see it on the screen, and you manipulate it here with your hand.
I see. Okay.
And
so Maya, you're talking about as a presenter who has an overhead camera can use that to demonstrate all of these things that you normally do in with your manipulatives.
Yes.
But if done in the digital way that Marla is showing us now, she can give this to students so they can manipulate in their groups.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean there?
Yeah. I think, that's it. And I think what I've done also is just ask the students to find a piece of string or the cord from your headphones or whatever, and use that to make a model. And it doesn't stay in place as well as a pipe cleaner. Pipe cleaners are great.
I like your idea of the pipe cleaners. I
like pipe cleaners. They're fun. Yeah. Someday when we can be back in a class and actually hand things to people without worrying about germs. Okay. All right. Next, board games. This is something I like to do in the classroom. Use a board game with just sort of a plain board and questions written on cards or on strips of paper. I have a collection of dice and little toys and things that I bring to class. I've got my little bag. I've got the plastic French fries and the frog, and give everybody a piece and a game piece and dice. They throw the dice, pick a card, answer the questions, move that many spaces. So it's a very simple game. And you can do something similar. I hope this works. I hope this works by using either Google Slides or Jamboard. I took a screenshot of the game board. I used it as a background on the slide, because if you just put the JPEG onto the slide, you can very easily move it around accidentally and then things get all messed up. And then made some shapes, like here, shape, put a triangle, make a little triangle here, much too big, make it smaller. I can change the color. Everybody can have their own little game piece. You can do your questions two ways. One, write them on text boxes or write them on shapes. And it's easier to move them around if they're on shapes. So you move it, you see the shape with the question, which of these words has a different vowel sound than the others? Fat, trash, car, camp. Car, yes. Okay. So the dice are the tricky part. I would say just have everybody have their own way. Everybody has their own dice. Okay, I've got 3. So I'll move 3 spaces. 1, 2, 3. And you do that. The next person moves that and go on to the other questions. You can also do the same thing with Jamboard, which has the advantage of being a little simpler. It's a simpler way to make the little shapes and things. Okay, it's gone. There it is. Okay, so it's the same thing basically, but you can make sticky notes. You can type your name, save it, and make it really small. And you can use students' names as the game pieces, and move it around. And put the questions on other sticky notes. Okay, any comments on that one?
Yeah, Marla, I have a interesting way to roll dice.
Oh,
if
good.
Students have another window open and you just type the words roll dice into Google or DuckDuckGo, you'll get a number from between 1 and 12 or between 2 and 12.
Hey, wow.
So that's a good technical way. I have a suggestion, because you don't want them to move 12, on a board that short.
Yeah.
The idea is just to have them move, but not much. So if you use a coin and you just say heads is 1 and tails is 2, then they can only move 1 or 2. Because on a board this small, what's the point if the point is not to win, really.
Yeah.
The point is to play.
To get lots of practice.
That's why I would like to keep it just to 1 or 2 moves. So
Small
that's an
moves.
idea that you could use, and everybody's got a coin.
Also, I just use a deck of cards, and I take out the ace, the 1, the 2, you know, whatever I want to go up to, depending on the size of the board, and I just hold it up to the camera instead of dice.
Okay.
Super simple.
That's a good idea too. Yeah. Or I could even throw the dice and just hold up the dice. You get a 5. Somebody might think I'm cheating, but
that doesn't work if they're working in groups.
If they're working in groups, right? It would only
that
work
only works if you're doing
the,
a mass
mm-hmm,
thing, a game
the whole,
with everybody.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And this is something that you can use for lots of other things. You can use it for
Oh, I have a question on
yes.
how this, when a student comes in and so you have questions written on shape. So can I get into this now or
yeah,
or not? You're
you
just
should
showing.
be able to.
No,
if you're
sharing it, can I touch it? No, I don't know. I don't know that I can.
Okay, everybody watch. I'm going to look at the sharing permissions. This is important to know. I clicked share up here. Now, anyone on the internet with this link can view, but I'm going to change it and make it
edit.
Viewer change to
edit.
Editor. There it is. Okay. And then if I wanted to copy a link to send somebody for that, I can. If not, click done. I've changed the permissions. Go for it, Marsha. You know, before I said keep it simple. I'm not following my own advice.
No, you're not. Okay.
So don't do what I'm doing. Okay.
Just do what I say, not what I do, right?
Yeah. Like that, right? Yeah.
We're all moms too.
Yeah.
That's what happens. Okay, let's see. So let me give it a try. I want to beat your game, and let's see
if you can see if you're on the same copy of the game.
Okay, let's see.
Oh, anonymous something. Anonymous raccoon has come in. Good, you are here.
All right, so I just moved this.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay.
And now you can see the question.
Yeah. Okay. So they're not disappearing, but people have to get. Okay. So there's a danger because you've made me an editor, so I can screw up your whole thing.
You could. That's why I have to be sure to keep my own backup copy and never let the students play on the original. And if they screw it up, okay, maybe they will.
Well, no, that's right. I mean, you need to have your copy of it, and then when they finish a question, then they should just like delete it, right?
I would just drag it up here out of the way and ignore it.
Okay.
I mean, they can delete it as long as you have your backup copy. Yeah.
Right. They could delete it, or they could drag it away.
Mm-hmm.
But it does take some understanding of how the Google
works. Yeah. So if it were a class, presumably you'd be using the same tool more than once. So, one day you spend just getting them used to it and explaining how everything works, and then the next time it would be hopefully easier.
Okay, so this wouldn't be their first introduction.
No.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay, now I can see how that works. Make sure you have let's mess up your slides.
Always keep a backup copy of everything.
That if you work on Google Meet, you don't have to give permission to the other people to share. Anybody can share.
Because it's a Google. Google is talking to Google. Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Okay. Yeah. I use Zoom. So
But Google Meet is very similar, but it's much simpler in, for sharing. So they can
For Google stuff, yeah, sure.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. We should all switch to Google Meet. Yeah. Okay. Let's see, another thing. Okay, recording practice. On the internet, there are zillions of ways to record your practice and for the teacher to respond. And discussion boards on Canvas or another LMS, or I suppose Google Meet or Google, what's the other one? Google Classroom, or they all have features like this where you can put a topic here, you click on the appropriate place, you can record your answer. So here I've recorded, so this is just a screenshot, it's not a working thing, but you can record it, and then the teacher or the students can record. The teacher can respond to that either in writing or by recording their own feedback. And the students can do it with video, or if they don't want to have their face seen, which, some people don't, there's a place to turn off your webcam or just cover up your webcam and nobody can see you. So any questions or comments on that?
Would you mind going back to the previous screen to see all the sources?
Yeah, okay.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So then, so any questions about Canvas or this first one? No, okay. We can also have students record using Zoom or whatever other recording thing they've got. Everybody can get a free Zoom account. You can press record, then you've got a recording, which is good for dialogues because you can have two people side by side on the screen and they can make it seem like they're talking to each other. Well, they are talking to each other, even though they're not in the same room. Flipgrid. And Flipgrid is a very cool website. It's free, flipgrid.com. Let me show you a screenshot of what it looks like. It looks something like this, and I've got a link to Flipgrid if you want to go and see all the good things they can do. This is from one of my past classes. You can put different groups for each of your classes, ESL, speaking, listening, intermediate 1, or within that, you can have an assignment for a section for each assignment that you have. Like today's assignment, self-introduction presentation. And then everybody can go to that one, record, and hear the assignment, the suggested questions. And here are some of the things that my students have recorded. And then comments, the teacher or the other students can record a comment back to that, either about the pronunciation or nice to meet you, I'm so glad you like playing chess, I do too, or whatever. So it's a good way to build community and also to record practice so that they have a record of it and you have a record of it. And the students don't have to open an account. You just make a list of your students' name. There are different ways to do it, but the easy way is make a list of your students' names, give each one of them a number, whatever number you want. Then put those numbers into that class's bit, and then tell the student, you're number 10, you're number 11. And then when they come to Flipgrid, they have a link for your class, and then for getting their own identity, and they just have to put in 10 or 12 or 37,000 or whatever. Another website that's good for both pronunciation practice for students and for teachers to make materials is Thinglink, not Thinklink, but Thinglink.com. And you can upload a picture or a video or a 360-degree picture of some kind, and you choose spots on there that are going to be a link. Let me go to, I'm going to go to the actual one. So when you click on this, you can hear a dialogue.
Good morning, Chris. It's good to see you again. How have you been?
Not bad. How about you?
Okay, so this is something I made for teaching, but students could also upload a picture of themselves or whatever and record themselves telling about it. You know, like, oh, if I put up this picture on the top left, this is my brother. His name is, what does he look like his name is? George, I don't know. And you know, tell about the picture as pronunciation practice. Any questions about that one?
And it's called Small Talk thing.
It's called Thinglink. This particular one, this was just this dialogue that my bit of it is called Small Talk, but Thinglink, thinglink.com is the website.
I put that in the chat too.
Okay, good.
That is really good.
It's cool. And let's see, log in. I'm not logged in. You can change what the little symbols look like. It's really a cool thing. It's a little bit slow.
Could you do it as a project for the class to have like 2 pictures, like scene 1 and scene 2 and scene 3, that kind of in sequence, and have the students give suggestions what they should be saying? You know?
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, and you can do all kinds of things. You can link recordings. Let's see, I'm going to add a tag. I hope I don't add text and media. You can add a text label. So when you click on something, it says, this is the president of the company, or you know, whatever you wanted to say. You can add content from a website. You can create a tour. I've never done that, so I don't know exactly how it works. But if I add text and media, no content, I could give it a title. Nothing. Okay, so there's nothing there. And now it's put a link right here. I'm going to move it up here where you can see it better. And I can edit. There's not much there, but I can change the icon. I mean, I used a triangle because that seems like something you'd use when you're talking, but you can make a video symbol, a heart. Let's make it a heart. Lots of other things. You can change the color. So now when I click on that, I see this word. If I upload a recording, then I can see the recording. And it's really very cool. In this one, what we used it for was...
We have several interviews scheduled this morning for the front desk clerk position. But before we meet the applicants, let's talk about the qualification.
Okay, we put the conversation between the interviewers, and then you can hear a bit of the interview from each of these people, and then you can decide who you would hire.
Who created the description of the situation? Was it
I did.
Oh, you did.
Wow. Yeah, I just did it. And that was my son-in-law's voice. That's not his real voice, but he likes to do voices. And there are lots of other things that you can where you can record your students' practice. And does anybody have any other suggestions for things that you like to use? I really like
I really like the idea of setting up an interview situation, because then you could have somebody goofy that of course is not going to get the job, somebody really smart that is going to get the job, and somebody who's just so whatever. So have the students think, you know, not only think of who they would hire, but to learn what they should do when they go, you know, for an interview themselves.
Yeah. And and that screen that you saw had several different pictures. This program doesn't do that automatically. I just opened a Word document and pasted in several different pictures and changed the sizes and put them together, and then took a screenshot of the whole thing. So that's not too hard to do. Are you about to say something?
On Shutterstock, you can find all kinds of pictures, because I'm going to put them online and stuff like that. I pay for a license, but if it's just for your class, you can still use them. They'll have the mark there that says Shutterstock.
Yeah,
Sometimes
yeah.
They take
But
in sequence, and then you can create that situation. I love this one. Yeah.
So I'm going to interject here, if you don't mind. I think it's probably time for us to think about winding down.
Questions, yeah. Okay.
And, I'm appreciative that you allowed us all to interject and intertwine and interact with you during your presentation, Marla. But perhaps you'll have a few final words that you'd like to close with.
Okay. All right. I put 3 names. You were talking about getting pictures. Pexels, Unsplash, Pixabay. Those, you can use those pictures for anything without getting permission. They're, okay. So final things.
Chat.
Huh? Okay. Yeah. Put it in the.
I'm adding them to the
chat. That is an excellent idea. Thank you.
You were going to tell us where you got your big mouth.
Oh, Amazon.com. Okay. Just search for dental model and avoid the ones that cost $150. You don't want that one. No, this one was $39. Also, Lakeshore Learning, lakeshorelearning.com has exactly this one. Yeah, it's a good one. So, okay, you can read my advice there. Check the sharing permissions. It's a pain in the neck. Keep it as simple as you can. I did not do that today. I'm sorry. Don't worry if something doesn't work, just have a backup plan. So my backup plan today is you guys, you help me out. And it gets easier with practice. So, okay.